re-education camps across the country, and to literally have conservatives, capitalists, people who believe in our Constitution and who would refuse to go along with communism and socialism, which would be generally your Christian population. Those who would refuse would be rounded up, put in these re-education camps, and according to Larry Grothwall, many of them would have to be eliminated. Here's what he said. Listen.
They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I asked, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people.
Okay, now again, the interview with Larry Grothwall, of course, is longer than that. I just wanted to remind you of what he said. And for anybody who's listening to this program, perhaps for the first time, if you're listening to our show through Worldview Weekend, we want to let you know we have our own website at noiseofthunderradio.com. You can go there and listen to earlier shows where we talk about these issues. But why is this important? Well, it's important because, as we've talked about before, the Weather Underground was founded by William Ayres, and it's from William Ayres' living room that Barack Obama's political career would be launched years later. Ayres and his Weather Underground cohorts, for the most part, got off on various technicalities. They ended up teaching in our colleges and universities their radical Marxist ideology. They're part of the reason why we have all of these radical leftists coming out of the universities here in the United States today. They're not the only reason why, but they have a lot to do with it. So Barack Obama, when he was in the White House for 8 years, he was essentially a Weather Underground operative in the highest office in our country. Here, decades later, a Weather Underground operative who would be able to put Weather Underground type people in power in the executive branch and really throughout the government there in Washington, D.C. Now, that becomes very disturbing on its own. When you start thinking about the deep state, you think about the FBI, the CIA, how these deep state organizations and committees and people have all been working against the idea of the Trump administration, just the idea of making America great again, the idea that America should be successful rather than that America should be really run into the ground. What kind of people would be in the government that would have this anti-American attitude? It's one thing to have those people out on the street, but in the government? And how did they get there? I think the Weather Underground gives us some idea.